Hello, welcome to Websterville. My name is Vivi and thank you for coming. So this is going to be my review of The Witcher, which is a Netflix original series. This is going to go towards my entertainment snob playlist. So what I'm going to be doing is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to be uploading for my beauty kind of content, and on Saturdays is going to be for the entertainment snob, because I am an entertainment snob. I love watching movies, I love TV shows, anime, manga, comics, Asian dramas. I love Asian dramas. I will be doing an introduction to Asian dramas video in the next week or two, so stay tuned to that. So if you're only here for my beauty content, you're not gonna like my Saturday uploads, so I'm just telling you up front. But if you give it a try, you might really enjoy it. So, just keep on watching. So again, this is my review for The Witcher, which is a Netflix original series. It only has 8 episodes. They're about an hour long each. And yeah, disclaimer up front, I'm telling you right now, no, I have not read any of the books, and no, I have not played the video game. So this is purely just from the show. I have no point of references prior to this. It's just, I saw the promos, I liked them, so I thought, why not? Let me give it a try. I will say that Netflix was very heavily promoting this show, which I'm okay with that because I really like this show. Overall, I really liked it. I'm going to be categorizing this into special effects, the acting, and then the storyline. So be aware. This show is absolutely 100% rated M for mature. It is very gory. There's a lot of foul language, there's a lot of nudity and sex scenes. My fingers are over here. So if you don't like that, or you have children, make sure the children are not watching this unless you're okay with your kids watching it. If that's not your thing, you're not gonna like this. Just putting that out there right now. Okay, so the special effects, I really like them. I don't consider myself to be, an expert on that. I'm just really watching it as a regular, average person just going to the movies, or, average watcher at home. Nothing really, it didn't look bad. When it looks bad, because you're just like, ooh, it does not look realistic at all. And that's not the case. Even the most whimsical, magical things did feel somewhat realistic in that realm. It does have it takes place in a magical land, in the sense they have genies and, dragons and witches and all kinds of things. Even the Witcher's a, mythical creature in this case. So there's definitely a lot of like CGI and special effects that they took, and especially for all those gory action scenes. And I enjoyed it. I thought they were, for the most part, really good. The only thing that stuck out to me that was like, I don't know about that, was the golden dragon. And that's just because, honestly, I really think it was the color. The color of it was just off, and the way it played off of the background. And it just looked a little funky. But if you don't count that, it was pretty flawless, because there was even a green dragon. And I didn't think the green dragon was that bad. The gold one just really stuck out. And again, I really think it was the color. But it didn't take away from the storyline. It wasn't like it was there for the entire, entirety of the show. It was only there for like tops 3 minutes. So it was fine. I really like the special effects. The actress, Anya Chalotra, I know I'm saying that wrong, but she plays Yennefer. But Yennefer eventually had a hunchback for a couple of episodes, in like a crooked jaw. And I Googled it. I'm like, is this how she normally, I had to Google her. I'm like, did they actually get like a hunched actress to do this? I don't have any reference. I didn't know that she fixed a hunchback. So I was like, maybe this is how she's gonna be for the entire show. She doesn't, by the way, spoiler alert. But it was really good. Like, I didn't think that was gonna be the case. And she even has a sex scene as a hunched, when she has her hunchback. And I thought, oh, you're definitely gonna be able to pick it out. I couldn't tell. That's why I had to stop the show and start Googling her. I'm like, does she really have a hunchback? Because it was so realistic when she was, because her entire back was exposed, and you couldn't tell that wasn't her real back. So I thought the special effects were really good, and I really enjoyed it. Moving on to the acting. So there's three main characters. That is Geralt of Rivia, who is played by Henry Cavill. Most well known for Henry would be he's essentially Superman, okay? He's a new Superman by DC, which I will say when I first saw that he was going to be the main character, although I was excited to see his face because, let's be honest, he's a very good looking man. I was a little hesitant because I didn't love him as Superman. And I don't know that it was him necessarily, because there were definitely parts where like he got to shine and I really liked him in like Justice League. I liked him in Justice League, but I didn't like him in Man of Steel. It took me 3 tries to be able to finish that movie because I kept falling asleep. And finally at the last movie, I'm like, no, I took a nap. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finish it out. And it was very dreadful and I almost wish that I didn't. But that's a different story. So I was a little hesitant about him. I did like him in Mission Impossible. He was fine to me. He just, he was just, he didn't do bad. He didn't do great. He was just, he did fine in Mission Impossible. He did. But I was still hesitant. But I got to say that I really fell for him in this show. I got to see him a completely different side of him. At the beginning of the story, I was definitely a little scared off by him because he started out a little emotionless, which now finishing the show, I definitely got to say that that's how he was supposed to be played. Witchers were supposed to be known to not have emotions, and so that's how he played it. And then as he started creating relationships and friendships and fell in love, that's when you really got to see him and fall for him. And he really carried this show for me like I didn't expect him to. I was actually thinking that I was going to fall in love with just about everybody else except for him, and I was like, based on how that went, I was gonna either be looking forward to the second season or not. And he did amazing. I loved him and I want to see more of him. I really warmed up to him in a way that I wasn't expecting. So Anya Chalotra, I know I'm saying it wrong. It is what it is. She plays Yennefer. She is the other main character. She is not necessarily an unknown actress. She definitely has some things in her filmography. I'm just not familiar with any of them. So to me, essentially, she is unknown. I never watched anything from her before. And I will say that at the beginning, she felt a little rough in her acting. And I don't know if that was just the way the character was supposed to feel, because it was definitely, everything started out a little rocky for her in the sense where like she was literally living with the pigs. And then she became very powerful, mage. And I wasn't expecting that from her. She really turned around. I know that halfway through the season, I was like, I still don't know how I feel about this girl. I don't know. She was still making decisions that I was like, oh God, please just stop. Stop. But she turned it around for me. And the last 2 episodes really made a huge difference. I know you can hear my dogs playing. Give me a second. Let's continue. The last 2 episodes really did a huge for her character growth. She definitely went through the most change from when we first see her in the storyline to the very end, because it's like you see her rise to beauty, power, and then eventually realize that she doesn't want none of that, and now she's searching for something new that she cannot have. And then how she essentially leaves her dreams behind so that she can help everybody else, which she never really cared for before. So I really fell for her towards the end, and I definitely think that if they hadn't done that at the end, I would have had a completely different opinion of her. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then you have Freya Allen, who plays Ciri, and out of all the characters, she was the least compelling. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that she wasn't really acting as much as she was reacting, because everything just kept changing around her and she just had to adjust to whatever was going on around her. And I don't know if that might have affected how I felt about her, just because I didn't feel like I got to really know her. Granted, her storyline out of everybody else's is the shortest. She didn't really have a lot of screen time, and when she did, she was never really just her. It was always like her and others. So I don't know, it felt a little short, but I'm really looking forward to seeing her grow. From what I understand, a lot of things that are going on right now are all based off of her, and she's kind of right in the middle of everything. So it'll be really interesting to see how she develops. And she's also a really young actress, so I'm sure as she gets more comfortable with the role and with acting overall, she'll get a little bit better. Aside from them, there were definitely a couple of characters that were standouts for me that I want to see more of. Tris is one of them. She was the other mage that we kind of get to meet. I really liked her. Even though we didn't get to see much of her, she just had a good personality, and I would like to see her develop more. When we have the character Istrid, I have it on my phone, I'm looking at it. Istrid, I surprisingly care for him, because at the beginning I was like, what is up with this guy? I didn't quite understand his character, or why he was with Yennefer, because I didn't really see the appeal of her at the beginning. So I was like, I just don't understand. And then he gets, Yennefer completely blows him off, and then eventually comes back to him, and that's when I really care for the character. Just the way he turned her down, it was in such a way that I want to see him grow. And I don't know if that's going to involve Yennefer or not, but I want to see more of him in the storyline, because we don't really know what happens to him. We know he's involved with the bad guys essentially, but we don't really know much of them. There's also Jaskier. He's basically the musician that befriends Geralt. And I don't like the way they ended. I really liked him and Gerald's relationship. I think that he made Gerald more approachable and more human, which he's not, but he felt human for a second. So I really want them to mend their relationship. So I really want to see more of them in the next season. And I also want to see more of Tisaya, who's Yennefer's teacher, which they kind of implied that she might have died. I hope not. I would really like to see more of her as well in the second season. Overall, everybody had really good acting, and this is just the actors that stood out to me from the smaller roles. Everything was, for the most part, pretty concentrated on Gerald, Yennefer, and Ciri. And even Ciri, they didn't focus that much on her, but we knew that she was one of the main storylines. So acting overall was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So, moving along to the storyline. First off, we gotta say it straight off the bat, the timeline was confusing AF. There's no denying it. As soon as you start seeing it, you're gonna get confused. I remember in episode 3, I had to literally stop watching the show and started Googling a bunch of videos of explaining it, and reading articles about it, because I was like, what is going on here? It was so confusing. And then I finally came to understand that Yennefer's timeline takes into effect when she goes into the school to be for magic, however long that takes. Then she's in court for 30 years, and then she's in this whole nother storyline with Gerald for another however long years. So her entire storyline from beginning to end, from what we see, is supposed to take effect into almost an 80-year gap, 70 years or something like that. Then you have Gerald's storyline, who's supposed to be only about 20 years or so, and then you have Ciri's storyline that's only supposed to be about 2 weeks. Yennefer's storyline eventually catches up to Gerald's, and then Gerald's catches up to Ciri's. So, from what I understand, season 2 is supposed to be a lot more of a linear timeline, which I'm hoping will help, because it was a little confusing. Now, I will say that I enjoyed that they did that, and I did, just because it was something different that we haven't really seen before. At least I haven't, where everybody has different timelines and then they'll kind of catch up at the end. I've never seen that done before. If you have, please let me know. I would love to check it out. I really did like it after the fact, but it was very frustrating while I was watching it, because it didn't make sense. And like I said, I don't have much point of reference from any of the books or video games for, so a lot of these characters I didn't know, and I didn't understand how to reference them. So that was a bit confusing. If you can get past that, I really enjoyed the plot line. I thought it was really interesting because this wasn't the main story, and it was pretty apparent that the main story didn't start happening until the last episode. It almost felt like the whole season is basically a setup for the story to start, which was really weird, because first you start out with like Yennefer and her rise to power and fall of power, and then you have Geralt, how he was essentially hated by all humans, and how he came about to become a hero to humans, and how he became a hero to human because of, the stories from, that his friend created and the music that he created, where, he created a good rep for himself as a protector, in a sense, which he really wasn't before. So that was really interesting. And then Ciri's storyline, that's, from what I gathered, my personal opinion, to be the main storyline. But because we only saw so little of her, and it's supposed to take place over such a small span of time, I think that this was really more of a setup for you to know like the backstory of all the characters and the land of itself, what kind of status they all stand in. And it was just weird because once we are all caught up and like the story is ready to get that huge kickstart, it's like, bam, last episode, it's all over. You gotta wait for 2021, because apparently season 2 is not coming out till 2021. That's a really long time. I don't know if I can wait that long. I might have to start reading some of the books, but we'll see. It was really weird. Like, the whole thing was just a setup, and I wanted to see more, which, I guess that's what Netflix wanted. They want to keep you captivated, so you keep watching. So I guess I will have to. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It never felt like it really got started, and that it's also something that frustrated me a bit, but I guess something that I can look forward to in the future. Let's see here. Okay. So the only other thing that I really want to mention is the law of surprise, because it's not really well explained, and it's such a pivotal part of the story. That's essentially how Geralt becomes entrusted with Ciri, because of the law of surprise. And I had to read some articles about it, and I don't think I quite understand what it is, even to now. Like, I get the basis of it. It's supposed to be basically a pay it forward kind of thing. I don't have anything of value to offer you at this time, but anything that I do get in the future, I will offer to you. And apparently, children are a part of that. Apparently, children can be a law of surprise, and that's essentially how Geralt gets to have Ciri, which is a huge spoiler alert right there, just as an FYI. I'm curious to see how the law of surprise plays more into the storyline, because it's something that definitely hurt Yennefer and Geralt. To know that Geralt had that opportunity and Yennefer didn't, it definitely hurt their relationship. So I'm curious to see how that's going to develop. I weirdly think that Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri are going to have this weird like family dynamic where Geralt's the father, Yennefer the mother, and then Ciri's kind of the weird, the daughter. I just feel like they're going to have this weird family dynamic just because they're each longing for it individually, and they just don't know that they can potentially have it together. I don't know. That's an assumption. I don't know if that's going to happen. I just have a feeling that it will. I might be wrong. I might not be wrong. Overall, I'm rating this series an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I do think that the timeline is really what the biggest drawback was for me. It was just very confusing. And again, I learned to appreciate it towards the end, but while I was first watching, it was really annoying and frustrating. And again, especially because I didn't understand some of the names, and it didn't have any backstory to it. And maybe they were banking on the people watching it having more of a backstory to the show, which I didn't. So there's that. Overall, I liked it. I enjoyed the show overall. I definitely recommend it. Again, if gore, nudity, and sex scenes are not your thing, you ain't gonna like this. But other than that, give it a watch. Let me know what you think about it. I'd love to discuss with you guys. If you want to put that in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Bye.